This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Guys, this upcoming holiday season, there's no better present that you could get yourself and your girlfriend than getting yourself the brand new Performance Package by Manscaped. And believe me, this is the perfect package for your balls. It all starts with the Lawnmower 3.0, which is a waterproof cordless trimmer that's built with advanced skin-safe technology, aka no more nicking and cutting your balls. But that's not all that comes in the Perfect Package 3.0, because you also get the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray, which is an absolute game changer in day-to-day male hygiene. New to the collection is the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, which uses 360-degree rotary blades and the same skin-safe technology from the trimmer, so it can help prevent tugging and tears. So don't wait, go to manscaped.com and use my promo code FLT20 for 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts. Right as I uploaded my last video, well, we got word of a crazy bit of info from Kevin O'Connor. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Before we get to the content, I just wanted to let you guys know, man, I'm doing a giveaway on my Twitter for NBA 2K21 on any next-gen console of your choice, and I'm going to be streaming NBA 2K21 on the next-gen consoles on my gaming channel, TheFlightMike TV. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, there's 2 teams that are interested in trading for Russell Westbrook. And the first one was always rumored to be interested since about a year ago, before Russell Westbrook was even traded from the OKC Thunder to the Houston Rockets. It's a team where all talent goes to die, and that's the New York Knicks. But there's an additional team that is rumored to be interested in trading for Russell Westbrook, and this is according to my man, Kevin O'Connor. If you don't know who Kevin O'Connor is, man, he's probably one of the more reputable sources that we have outside of Woj and Shams. He is also a writer for a website called The Ringer, which is kind of like the Bill Simmons tree of NBA content. But when he reports something like this, I'm going to take it fairly seriously. So this is exactly what it says. The Clippers and Knicks reportedly have trade interest in Russell Westbrook via Kevin O'Connor NBA. Now, before we get to it, I'm going to let you guys take a moment to comment in the comment section down below if this makes sense or if this is the most absurd thing you've ever heard in your entire life. And I'm going to give you like 5 seconds to do it. Okay, now that you guys gave your opinion, I'm going to tell you mine. So the one part of this that I think makes a lot of sense is, do you remember right when the postseason ended, Kawhi Leonard went to the Los Angeles Clippers front office and said, yo, buddies, we need to get ourselves a point guard. So that's the one part of this that I believe is consistent. They are interested in a trade for Russell Westbrook because the Clippers need a point guard. But on top of that, the Clippers are actually in a great position to trade for Russell Westbrook. But you see, if the Clippers were to do this trade with the Houston Rockets, without giving up Paul George, by the way, they would have to undo a lot of the Chris Paul trade that got him into the position to acquire Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to begin with. Meaning they would have to send Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, and possibly do a sign-and trade with Montrezl Harrell in order to make up the cap space to bring back Russell Westbrook. And if you ask me, I'm going to be honest with you, yeah, I could see why the Clippers have interest in Russell Westbrook in the sense that Kawhi Leonard said, hey, we need help in the point guard position in order to really go to the next level. But the problem lies in the fact that Russell Westbrook isn't your traditional point guard. He isn't an incredible playmaker. On top of that, Paul George already knows what it's like to play with Russell Westbrook. Literally on OKC, they both gave it a go. They weren't able to get past the first round. And even when they had Carmelo Anthony as a third player, I know Carmelo Anthony on the OKC Thunder isn't near the level of player that Kawhi Leonard is on the LA Clippers, but no matter who you surrounded Paul George and Russell Westbrook with for those 2 years, they were just losing to lesser teams in the NBA playoffs. And that should say something to you. Now, I'm not trying to insult Russell Westbrook. It's just, if the combination of him and Paul George didn't work out in the beginning, what makes you think it could work out now? Now, that's assuming that the Clippers are attempting to keep Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and they will try to trade other players in order to keep Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, which I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. I don't think Kawhi Leonard is sick of Paul George, but I do think the rest of the Los Angeles Clippers are sick of Paul George. So there's another scenario where the Los Angeles Clippers, let's say hypothetically, tried to trade Paul George for Russell Westbrook straight up, which if you ask me, it's kind of ironic, but they wouldn't only give up Paul George. In order to make this trade work, you'd have to give up players like Ivica Zubac and Joakim Noah, or Rodney Magruder and Joakim Noah and Landry Shamet. So that sounds a little bit more feasible to me. So let's go ahead and assume that's going to be the trade that they're going to pull off. And when you do this trade, the Los Angeles Clippers aren't really projected to win that many more games as a result of it. As a matter of fact, according to this Hollinger's analysis in the NBA trade machine, which I guess the projections we should take with a grain of salt because all it does is match win shares from one side to the other, it says that this makes the Rockets worse by 2 wins and it makes the Clippers not better or not worse. So it makes the Clippers a little bit more top heavy in order to trade Paul George and all of those players for Russell Westbrook. But on top of that, I feel like Russell Westbrook is one of the worst contracts in the league. He's also older than Paul George. He might be able to fit in with Kawhi Leonard a little bit better offensively, but in return, you get a player that is considered to be a little bit of a defensive liability come playoff time. So this makes no sense for me whatsoever. Now, if you look at it from the Houston Rockets perspective, this makes a ton of sense. They would happily pounce on a trade like this, acquiring Paul George for Russell Westbrook, getting a player that plays great defense and could be a fantastic scoring option next to James Harden, acquiring some depth, and even a player, although who is a shell of his former self, a legitimate center. It sounds like a win for the Houston Rockets. I just don't think the Clippers will go for it. I think what we should take from this rumor is the fact that the Clippers are just interested in looking into potentially acquiring a point guard to appease Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard said a month and a half ago that he wants a playmaker on the roster. And if you ask me, the Clippers desperately do need a playmaker on the roster. You see, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are great scorers, but they don't want to operate based off of making shots for themselves. Although they have the ability to do so, but they're not really great isolation players. They're above average pick and roll players, and they could hit shots from all over the court. But Kawhi Leonard likes operating out of the post, and Kawhi Leonard has always been part of a system that has set him up to take good shots, whether it was a motion offense in San Antonio or a hybrid motion offense in Toronto. Both Nick Nurse and Greg Popovich implemented systems that didn't really require Kawhi Leonard to create shots for himself in isolation situations. And I feel like that's what Kawhi Leonard wants. He wants a guy to focus on making the plays, and he just wants to focus on scoring. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you think the Clippers are going to acquire Russell Westbrook? Personally, I don't think this is plausible at all, but hey, I heard it from a reputable source, so I had to bring it to your attention. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.